My name is William Clark. I'm a reenactor of George Company, 3rd Battalion of the 505th Parachute Infantry Regiment with the 82nd Airborne. Today, we will be overviewing the M1 Carbine and the M1 Garand. We will be covering basic functionality and the variation of parts throughout the war. Let's get into it. So, we'll start this off by getting into the M1 Garands. This receiver is dated 1941, made by Winchester. This receiver is a Springfield 1944, and this receiver is a Springfield 1941. Now, we'll go ahead and get into the functionality. So, for this example, we'll use the Winchester. How the M1 rifle functions is you take your 8-round M-block, load it into the rifle. When you pull the trigger, that bullet travels down the barrel, and there's a small hole where that gas pressure enters into this tube. And that pressure kicks back the op rod, ejecting that round and loading another in. This cycle continues until all 8 rounds are fed and the clip ejects. So now we'll go ahead and get into the parts of the rifle that you would have seen during the war. The 3 main things are the lock bar sight, the milled trigger guard, and the leather sling. This is what would have been most commonly seen throughout the war. So how the lock bar sight works is you turn the bar and you use this knob for range and use this one for windage. Post-war sights did not have a bar on them, as you can see, and nothing was required to lock it into place from turning. So on both of the rifles, you can see that they have a milled trigger guard with a small little circle. This was for the winter trigger. Now on post-war models, they were stamped and they did not have this. Leather slings were a carryover from World War I, and these were more prevalent to be seen throughout the war than the web sling. These came into use late war and throughout post-war. General George Patton called this rifle the greatest battle implement ever devised. The reason being is because the M1 Garand was the first mass-produced semi-automatic rifle that was the main service weapon of an entire country's army. Another reason being is because it shared a common ammunition, 30-06, with many other different service weapons, such as the 1919, the M1918 BAR, and the 1903 and 1903A3 Springfield. Now, we'll move on to the M1 carbines. While there were many different manufacturers of carbines during the war, specifically, this one is made by Rockola, this one is Winchester, and this one by Underwood Elliott. So for this example, we'll use the Rockola. You take your 15-round magazine, load it into the bottom, rack the bolt to load a round, and when you pull the trigger, the bullet will go through the barrel, and some of that gas pressure will come down into a small chamber and push back a piston, which chambers another round after ejecting the first. Now, let's go ahead and get into some of the basic parts that you would have seen on the rifle during the war. How this M1 carbine is set up is what would have been most commonly seen throughout the war. A few things on the rifle you may notice are the flip sights, the circular safety, no bayonet lug, and the Type 1 barrel band. This particular carbine you would have seen more commonly throughout mid to late war. A few of the differences you may notice right off of the bat from the first carbine are the adjustable rear sight and the Type 2 bayonet lug. This carbine would have seen action at the very tail end and throughout post-World War II. It has a different style of adjustable sights, a flip safety, a bayonet lug, and a 30-round magazine. Although never really doing so, the original purpose of the M1 carbine was to replace the 1911. A few of the men that would have been issued this were truck drivers, radio men, or men on crew-served weapons. Well, this concludes the overview of the weaponry. Let's go to a live fire demonstration. So these bullets, being full metal jacket, they didn't blow up quite like I would have expected, but as you can see, I hit it. And yeah, let's go ahead and move on to the carbine. Had a misfeed, that's no problem. Thank you very much for watching this video. Again, my name is Will Clark, and thank you for watching.